Welcome to the Biohacking Superhuman Performance Podcast. My name is Natalie Nidham. I'm a nutritionist, a human potential and epigenetic coach, and I created this podcast to bring you the latest ways to take control of your health and longevity. We cover it all, from new technology to ancestral health practices, personalized interventions, and a very special interest of mine, peptides. Enjoy the show. In this episode, I get to interview Dr. Julia Frost. Dr. Frost is a classically trained medical doctor of general medicine and pediatrics with postgraduate training in ultrasonic diagnostics and radiology. Dr. Julia Frost is also a doctor of traditional Chinese medicine as well as an acupuncturist, but it doesn't stop here. Dr. Frost is a leading clinician who is renowned worldwide for her use and research of bioresonance, neuromodulation, and photobiomodulation therapies, as well as other energy-based treatments. What we're here to talk about today is specifically photobiomodulation, because Dr. Julia Frost, in her non-existent spare time, actually co-founded a company called Recharge, and where she now works as the clinical director, dedicating her efforts in promoting red light therapy with a great new entry in this product market called the FlexBeam, which they refer to as a personal energy device. So what the FlexBeam is this it's actually quite small, but it almost looks like a belt. And it's a red light and infrared light therapy device that you actually can put on your body. So you can spot treat. And then we talk in the episode also about different ways that you can use this device for systemic applications. Anyway, I'm not going to steal the show just by talking to you about it here. It's a great episode. It's a great device. I think the price point is amazing. And on top of that, they have an Indiegogo campaign going right now, which if you use the link that's down below in the show notes, you will be able to get an extra $50 off the price of this device. Now, we talked on the show where they could easily have chosen to sell this thing for $1,200, but they've decided to price it at a price where they hope that more people will be able to afford it and have access to this incredible healing technology. So the regular price is $399. If you use the special link below, you will actually get $50 off. And that link will be live for another 21 days. So today is November 26, 2020. 21 days from now, the link will expire and the discount will go away. So don't wait too long. Listen to the episode. And if you're half as inspired about this thing as I am, then you're going to want to go and get your hands on one of these babies. So thank you so much. If you get value out of this episode, for sure, please share it to any friends or family or anyone you know or on your networks. And if you enjoy it, please leave us a 5-star review on iTunes or Spotify or Google, wherever you're listening to the podcast. And if you're trying to get in touch with me, if you have any comments or questions or anything that I can help you with, you can reach me at my website at natnidham.com or natalienidham.com. Both of those work. You can find me on Instagram under my name, Natalie Nidham, or you can find me on Facebook in the Biohacking Superhuman Performance group, where me and almost 7,000 other people now exchange ideas, talk about different things, and learn about new technologies such as this one. So thank you so much for being here. And I really hope that you enjoy this episode. I think Dr. Julia is an amazing person. And not only is she incredibly knowledgeable, but it's her drive to give back, which is, I find, really inspiring. Enjoy the show. Welcome to the show, Dr. Julia Frost. It is so nice to have you here. Thank you so much for taking the time.
Thank you very much for inviting. I'm looking forward to talking and giving you everything what I know.
That's amazing, because that's going to make for an amazing episode. So as I introduced you before we get to the cherry on the cake here, before we get to the FlexBeam, I think it would be great for people to meet you a little bit and understand what's your journey? Like, where did you start? How did you come to doing what you do today? So maybe tell us a little bit about yourself.
I had quite a complex life, but, I started as a mainstream medical doctor, pediatrician. I was trained in Kazakhstan. At the time, it was one unified USSR training school. And sort of old school doctor. Yeah. And I love my job. I really loved everything, the capacity I was working, and I was working with children was very rewarding. However, in the sort of when I was mid-30s, I had severe car crash. And in this car crash, I came out very damaged. I was paralyzed, and just being in that space when you suddenly become a patient, not a doctor, and seeing life through perspective of a patient, that really changed my beliefs. And I learned how I survived, and I brought myself together through all my knowledge, what I learned from medicine. I did extensive exercise program through pain, through everything. But, it taught me how strong I was and how resilient I was. And it taught me to be compassionate to other people. It taught me to be compassionate to people who are suffering. Mm-hmm. And from that point onwards in my life, all I want to dedicate my life now to alleviate that suffering, because, it's really tough to be on the other end. Maybe because of that, maybe something moved me in the different directions. I wanted to understand what the capacity for healing we have, what is energy in the body. So I started my long journey to study other aspects of beyond medical training. And it brought me to learn traditional Chinese medicine, acupuncture, because I was fascinated by the meridian concepts, and I understood soon this is like electrical circuits in the body. So all this paradigm started to create some kind of sense in my head. And all my life I was interested in technologies. And through technologies, I started to first using non-invasive interactive neurostimulation. Then I moved into learning about light therapy, photobiomodulation, it's called now.
Yeah. So can I ask you a question? So did you use were any of these technologies available to you, or acupuncture, when you were healing from your own accident? Or did you literally just muscle your way through these crazy injuries and come out the other side?
Yes, exactly. I had to muscle my way through, because at the time, this technology, I was not, it kind of brought me to learn about that there is another aspect, physical aspect of energy. So up to that point, I was still recovering by using just ordinary, exercise, getting up in the morning, bathing in the sunshine of the sunrise, and eating good foods, having good positive thoughts. Very strict regime, but it got me in 7 months. I was fully walking, and the guys giving me the wolf whistle.
I'm sure they still give it to you. Not that anybody can see right now, but
thank you. So it was a complex journey, and of course, I mean, kind of departing from very mainstream, very kind of rigid medical scientific sort of operating. I'm now open up my way to see the world in a bigger aspect and integrate other tools into healing.
Yeah. And interesting. So while you were studying these things, were you still practicing conventional medicine in Kazakhstan, or is that when you moved?
By the way, I didn't tell you, but sort of mid-30s, I moved to live to England.
Okay.
I was excited because changing the country so much. I was excited the opportunities which Western world offers. I mean, you can go and study whatever you like. And I'm just like, I'm liking this. I'm going to study more. It's already past time. I could not practice even what I do, being just mainstream medical practitioner, because obviously there are a set of rules and insurances. And so to do what I do, I have to be free. I have to be doing, I'm practicing right now in the capacity of the TCM doctor and acupuncturist.
Right. Okay. So you've got the medical degree that you got in Kazakhstan, but you're now, and I see this a lot, medical doctors who often will start to practice under a different designation to allow them a broader landscape to explore in terms of healing practices. Right. So you still have that background of the medical knowledge, but now you've layered all these other disciplines, as it were, over top of it. So you started did you start practicing then acupuncture and another discipline that you just mentioned, right?
Yes, in about 12 years ago, I also started learn about photobiomodulation,
Okay.
which is the science of light.
Yeah.
It's light therapy. And I was trained with Dr. Weber in Germany. He's got the Weber Institute. And it was so cool because I started to understand what the lasers, not just for sci-fi sort of weapons. They lasers are actually friendly. It's a friendly energy for the human body. And ever since, I've been using them into my everyday practice, having fantastic results. One of aspect laser I undertook to use laser acupuncture, and it's not like you lasering your body with the needles. No, it's just shining the beam of light to specific beam of light into the acupuncture point. And then you gain double benefit. You stimulate the points which you want, but you also give physical energy to this point. So by doing this, I was able to treat children because obviously no needle involves. It's completely painless. In fact, they were lying on the couch and seeing all these different colors of light. Like, look at me, I'm glowing like a Christmas tree.
That's so interesting. So when you do laser acupuncture, you don't just have a single point of light, you have multiple points of light?
Yeah.
At the same time. Okay.
This is a unique technology is now available, and it's highly effective. I really, really love this form of therapy, especially when you can make sense.
Yeah, no, I think I would love this form of therapy. Acupuncture and me have a very, I've used it and it's at times been the only thing that's worked for me. But I've also had times when I had back spasm and the doctor put the needle bent. So it was very uncomfortable.
Yes.
So anyway, so that's interesting. So acupuncture without needles. I love that. That was your first foray really into using light therapeutically.
To carry on from that point, what I have been seeing in my practice consistently, day by day, case by case, that I am helping people. People, get better, and they get better very quickly, like 4 sessions. Sometimes you can resolve really complicated condition. And I've been questioning myself over and over. Why is it not widely known? Why is it nobody using it? And the answers, it's multiple answers, including, financial aspects of it, whatever. But the point is that I felt at this point that I want to give this technology in the hands of people. Yes. Mm-hmm. I want to be able to facilitate healing and alleviate suffering for people at home when they can use device at home. And I was having a few ideas in my head how, what sort of device to do. And I started actively looking for partners who could share my vision, who could share my beliefs. And hooray, I found the company is Recharge. So I actually joined with these guys, 4 of us. We co-founded a company called Recharge, where we are now making devices for people to use at home. And these devices using light, first form of energy, and it helps people to regain and recuperate. And the first product which we've come out, it's called the Flex Beam. Mm-hmm. And the Flex Beam, it's LED-driven device. And this Flex Beam, to me, it's the ultimate recovery device. What I mean is that it helps for the body to recover by giving physical energy.
Right.
Remember, I told you a little bit earlier that I was fascinated about energy concept in the body.
Yes.
So I have learned so much ever since. And I understood that there is, so many therapies available, medical therapies, physical therapy, nutritional therapy. But one piece was literally missing. And to me, that piece is energy. Mm-hmm. So if body does not have that energy, it doesn't have that oomph to recover.
Right.
And you may give the best nutrients you can think of, but if body is so lacking on energy, so it doesn't have ability to process it, break it down and assimilate it, then of course the recovery will be very slow or sometimes no recovery.
Right.
So to me, this is the answer.
Interesting. So when you talked earlier about recovering from the car crash accident, one of the things that you mentioned is getting up to watch the sunrise.
Yes.
And I find that fascinating. So how did you, because a lot of people would say that watching that sunrise, that is where we're getting the red light spectrum from the sun.
Absolutely.
And that so many people are lacking. I mean, look at me right now. I live in the northern climate. I look blue. The light from outside is blue. It's a bit crazy. But how did you know to do that? Had you read something, or was it just like an instinct that said, this is what I need to do to help my body to heal? How did you know to do? Because, again, like many people would say that is the most natural form of red light and infrared light that we can get for our system.
Absolutely. I agree with you 100%. And more so, this red light and this early near-infrared light, when the sun rises only, it stimulates production of melatonin. Mm-hmm. And as you know, melatonin is a hormone which most people associate with a hormone for sleep. Mm-hmm. But actually, this is a hormone which repairs DNA. It's your absolutely fixing hormone. So it's a combination of both. You can relax and sleep, and then your body starts repair all these glitches which are happening throughout the day. Absolutely. But you gain it by watching red lights on a sunrise or sunset.
Yeah.
And you're totally right. And I think part of the sickness of our society is because we become very much, office workers sitting inside the buildings, exposed to unnatural light. And none of us really watch sunrise and sunset.
No, and when you live in a big city like I do, it's actually hard to get to a place where you can watch the sunrise and the sunset. You can't see it.
Exactly. The massive, huge, tall skyscrapers, they're blocking it. And so we become, and our exposure to blue screens of mobile phone, computer screen, TV screen, whatever, it's actually having harmful effect. Mm-hmm. So red light would be counterbalancing that.
Right.
And yes, you're interested that you said that, when I was recovering from my car accidents, I was doing it instinctively. I was young and I was always very much into harmony with nature. So, for example, I run barefoot because I feel the freedom in that. But then I read somewhere that, you discharge your harmful ions and whilst you're earthing yourself, etc. I'm thinking that makes sense. Yes. Yeah. So when I was young, I just felt like I need to do it. So I would go out at the sunrise. And if you see my exercise program, it was like I'm bowing to the sunrise, literally 4 minutes. And I must tell you, when I was running back, I would always feel so much joy, like something really good happened to me.
Yeah.
And, so ever since I'm thinking, now we've got this flex beam, which generates that very red light, taking that piece of sunshine and bringing back with you. And you can feel it, every day. It's not harmful. It's just giving something which your body designed through evolution to have.
Amazing. Okay, so let's talk about the flex beam. So the flex beam, I mean, you guys can't see it because unfortunately this is all audio, but I'm going to have a picture of it in the show notes, and also we'll figure out another way to give you guys a visual. And of course, there's going to the website. But let's talk about the light that the flex beam gives. So the flex beam gives the red light and near infrared light, and it operates probably within some very specific wavelengths that are the healing wavelengths. Yeah. So maybe we could talk about that a little bit.
Yes. Why, first of all, we have to ask ourselves why we use red and infrared. Because all scientific literature, all the testing, and by the way, light therapy, photobiomodulation, it's been here about 50 years. So it's not new. And all the research point out that these two frequencies, these two wavelengths of light is the most beneficial for the human body in terms of specifically to energize the cell, because there is a concept of optical window. So optical window is when our body absorbs energy into the mitochondria in these particular nanometers of the wavelengths without heat. So it
Okay.
absorbs and generates energy.
Okay.
So once cells generates energy, obviously it could do much better, right?
Sure.
Yeah. And if you think that our body is, I think latest number, 37 trillions of cells working together in one tandem, coordinated, and doing, let's say, 37 billions of processes every split of a second.
Yeah.
We need so much energy.
Yeah.
Directly to power that energy.
And and basically this red light, it directly affects the mitochondria, which are those little powerhouses of the cell that produce the cellular energy that our bodies then use to do everything that they do. So guys, the flex beam, just so I can explain it to you a little bit, Zulia, can I get you to hold it up quickly? So it's 1, 2, 3. So there's 4, is it 3 light?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it almost looks like a very short belt, but there's 4 rectangles that are connected on this belt that are probably, I'm going to say 5 inches long. Mm-hmm. And the 4th cell, if you will, is where the controls are. And then the other 3 are going to deliver the light, and it's flexible. So it can wrap. When I've seen pictures of people using it, they will wrap it around an area of injury. So around a shoulder, a knee, a leg, wrap it around your back. So a lot of the existing panels right now, until FlexBeam, what people have mostly been using are these panels that they put up on a wall, and a lot of these panels will say, don't get too close. Whereas with the FlexBeam, the application is directly on the body. So can we talk a little bit about that, how you've been able to figure out a technology or a delivery or modulate what you're delivering so that it actually is safe to put it directly onto the skin?
The inventor of this concept is our genius optical engineer, Arjen Helder. Okay. And he came up with this idea after reading a NASA paper from NASA when they're saying that LEDs can now be used for healing. Uh-huh. That kind of stimulated his imagination. And Arjen went through significant research, like, 800 papers specifically on topic. What he told me in the first instance is that he said, all these studies been done on these tiny little rodents and rabbits, and we're human beings. We need more energy. We need more power.
Right.
And so through a very, very thorough research, through absolutely solid research, we come up with the idea of placing on the body. And when you place on the body, you see, you know exactly how far the diet from the surface of the skin. So this enabled us to calculate the exact precise dose.
I see.
And tell you, in photobiomodulation, it's all about the dose. If you get the dose right, you get significant, spectacular result. But often research papers show, maybe some papers show that there is no effect or very little effect. It's when they don't get the dose right.
Well, it's the same for almost anything, right? Even with supplements, like the wrong supplement at the wrong time in the wrong dose, and either bad things happen or nothing happens. And so it's the same here as well.
I just wanted to add a little bit about the dose, because we can also calculate the correct dose because our device is designed for 10-minute stimulation. Okay. So whenever you do 10-minute stimulation, and we know that will be sufficient dose for this person at this point, so then you can move to another point. Okay. And so it's always sufficient. And another thing, which I think very significant point I want to make, is that because when you put it around for example, a joint, around the shoulder joint, the light will be delivered at 3 angles. Yes.
Yeah, because it's flexible. Imagine that you're putting this thing, you're wrapping it around your shoulder. You have one unit on top of your shoulder. One's going to land behind the shoulder, and the other one's going to land in front of the shoulder. Or if you're wrapping it around the arm, around the deltoid, like whatever muscle group you're targeting, you can literally wrap it around so that you imagine 3 points of light coming in from 3 different directions. So that kind of gives you better penetration, right?
Exactly. And it delivers exactly where it's needed. It delivers all that energy into the central point. And by doing this, you targeting. And I think this is a key because I learned it from using other technologies that you need to target, you need to get that energy into right point.
Mm-hmm.
And if you miss the point, there won't be effect. And
Right.
there are even papers on that. But with the panels, which I personally like very much. I think they're great. And at some stage I was considering buying them, but they're just a little bit pricey.
Yeah.
Yes. The point is when if it's a panel, lots of energy goes and just, wasted, so to speak.
Yeah.
The body should target it. So I love FlexBeam for this. And I love FlexBeam for giving me such great results.
Yeah, no kidding. So on the Kickstarter, the Indiegogo page, it talks about immune function, and it talks about a lot of different ways that FlexBeam, like this red light therapy, can help the body, which of course everybody who's in this business talks about. But with this FlexBeam specifically, because it's so specific and so targeted, would you imagine putting it over your chest and irradiating the thymus gland, for example, which is a gland that is very important for immunity? Would that be a way to use it in a more systemic way?
Yes, red and infrared lights, anyway, they have both effect, local, but also systemic effect.
Okay.
There was an interesting study from Russian scientists when they treated one hand and the result was the other hand. So it's kind of proved the point. That is, if you're going to go and see on the website, there is a support page and I put this protocols for treatment, you'd be amazed because exactly what you said. I recommend you to put FlexBeam over the vertical over the thymus, but also horizontally to stimulate the immune system. Also, would be nice to target other glands like adrenals. Like I like to put back of the neck for thyroids. I like to put over the mid back for adrenals and even the liver because they all work together in tandem. But remember, the most important your immune system, it's your stomach. Because in the gut, we have islands of the lymphoid tissue. So we can stimulate that too. So all these areas you can use effectively. And you can target what you want from this device. You can place, if people have injuries or pains, you can just place it there. But if you want to specifically potentiate the immune system, that's targeting thymus, targeting gut, and maybe other glands would be useful.
Of course. And so if somebody, let's say, let's just talk a little bit about using it. So if somebody, let's say, had an injury on a wrist, for example, but they also wanted the systemic, everybody these days needs immune support. I think we can all agree that if there was ever a time to have a healthy immune system, now is that time. So is there a limit to how much time you can spend with the FlexBeam? So if I did 10 minutes on my wrist, would it be okay for me then to do 10 minutes on my thymus? Or would that be too much? Like, how much can you do in a day?
This is a little bit difficult to answer simply because everyone is different, okay? And people have different vitality. Somebody is an athlete or somebody been through, major illnesses or been in a car crash, different level of energy overall in the body. So if people are really, really ill and their energy is very low, I recommend to introduce FlexBeam slowly. So you don't do too much at the time, but over a period of time you gain the result. But for people who are athletically healthy, generally okay, that's no problem. You can use it up to 40 minutes a day.
Right. Because so it just depends on how long you want to spend with it.
Yeah. And I would normally say if you have an injury and you want to assist that injury, you can use in one way. So you targeting. Once you recover, you can then focus on just maintaining your optimal energy, maintaining your optimal health. And there is two different types of suggested applications we have on the website.
Okay, that's amazing. So now one of the things that people talk about red light therapy and infrared light therapy being great for is collagen for aesthetics, right? So we have the immune system, we have the musculoskeletal system, we have the endocrine system. But when it comes to aesthetics, is it safe to have the flex beam? Like are you going to put it on your face or a little bit of distance? How would you use flex beam that way?
Yes, this is very tempting, isn't it?
Yes, it's tempting. Just stick your face in there and just sit there.
Everything also with, yes. The one thing I would say, we actually designed this device for the body. We are working now on a different device for the head.
Okay.
I personally do not recommend yet to put it on the face because simply we haven't measured, what sort of going to be impact on the brain, because brain is very close.
Oh yeah, right there.
Preset 2, which is a mixture between red and infrared, and 3, which is mostly infrared. So I would not definitely. Preset 1, if you use goggles, you just shield your eyes, and as further as you read in a book, it is possible, because 1 is just mostly red light, and it's not going to be massive impact, deep depth of penetration into the body. So I would say, if you want to improve your collagen on your, triceps.
Arms.
On your thighs. Yeah, why not on the stomach?
And there will be systemic effects anyway, just from what you're doing on the rest of the body. So let's talk a little bit about the brain, though, because I remember seeing funny. It wasn't funny. It was a gentleman who, I think he had Parkinson's disease or some kinds of Parkinsonian condition. And he had taken a bucket. And he put red lights in it. And he would wear the bucket a number of hours every day, claimed and believes. And to this day, I think there's people who follow him and do this exact same thing, because they feel that irradiating the brain, which is no easy task going through the skull. The skull is designed to protect us, really. So is that something that you're looking at in creating some kind of a device that people might be able to use to support cognitive? I mean, we're not going to talk about curing anything, but to support brain function in some way?
Yeah, totally. And, so much research is now coming out of the merits of the infrared lights, because infrared light goes through the body, through the skull, through everything, like it's nothing. It can go, the deepest penetration level is 10 centimeters. So the photon is going to travel that much. And another merits of the infrared light, it stimulates a local blood flow. Where we shine, the blood started to flow better, and the collaterals opening up. So it will bring a better supply with blood. And, we need it. We need it because blood brings oxygen, nutrients, and removing the waste out of that site. So basically, we're optimizing for the body natural processes, which body would do it anyway. So when we shine infrared light, and another aspect of infrared light, it stimulates angiogenesis, which means the growth of new vessels.
Yes.
And it has very good effect of neuroregenerative effect. There's a number of research article from Michael Hamblin, who is like a pioneer, or he's the main researcher behind PBM. He's talking about this aspect of neuroregeneration. And of course, look at us now. There's so many people, even younger age now, started having Alzheimer's, signs of Alzheimer's, dementia. And of course, if we have something which is safe, doesn't have any side effects, and can get to that point and stimulate that blood flow in the brain, it will definitely have preventative effect.
For sure.
So we seriously looking into this. Of course, the bucket man was very famous. I don't know how many people sent me that link.
Oh, I know. I can imagine.
It's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant idea. But yes, we're doing something a little bit better than the bucket. So it's going to come out next year. Yeah. And the principle.
So it's in the works. It's in the works. Like it's scheduled for next year.
Yeah, it's going to be fantastic for anyone, I would say, particularly 50 onwards, I think it would be very useful tool to have.
Yeah. And you mentioned something about neurogenesis, like getting nerves to regenerate. What about people with like small fiber neuropathy? So they get there's nerve damage that happens either because they've been diabetic or I'm starting to see from any number of conditions can cause the damage or die off of these little nerve endings and causes quite a lot of pain and discomfort. Would you say that, again, like the flex beam applied to those areas where they're feeling their pain might actually be helpful? Again, like it also reduces inflammation, right? Ultimately, the red light and near infrared light. So,
yes, when you think of flex beam, you need to understand how does it work with the body. Mm-hmm. So, if you look at the recovery from anything, it's typically happen in 3 stages. First stage is inflammatory stage, and it's kind of necessary because you need blood to flow a lot more. Yeah. But ultimately, when you shine flex beam, that red lights and infrared lights, they improve that stage because it will be a lot more blood flowing where the blood is restricted. So it will stimulate that flow of blood there, so help the inflammation to resolve quicker. Yeah. And that's what lots of research pointing out, that red light therapy, it improves inflammation and heals quicker. Yeah. But then there is a next stage. Once we bypass inflammation, people typically develop scar. If any injury you treat, for example, there would be scar formation. And of course, we know, again, red light therapy are very great to promote collagen, healthy collagen production. Mm-hmm. Also, it stimulates different cells, stem cells and maturation of the cells. Wow. All these processes are really supported by red lights. So if you think of this as a recovery tool, again, it would be very useful. And if you mentioned about this neuropathic or diabetic neuropathy, peripheral neuropathy, I have a patient right now with this. And I think if he didn't use the flex beam, he would be far gone. He would just lose completely this, use of his hands. Wow. But he's going on with this. Of course, with patients like this, it's really good supportive tool. Sure. But it will take a long time, to get results, because fundamentally you need to treat diabetes in this kind of case. Yeah. And with flex beam, we can just support symptoms of it, but still great help. Yeah. Well, and if you're doing everything else and it's upgrading the energy production of each cell and mitochondria, everything else that the person's doing is going to have that much more impact. It's almost like you're preparing the terrain to receive all of the goodness of all the other therapies they might be using, whether it's nutritional, supplements, lifestyle. In many ways, this is a bit of it's a biohack in the sense that it can give you better results faster from all of the other things that you're doing. Exactly. It just fortifies the result for you. Yeah. Support, give energy, and everything positive. And to me, it's also kind of help to recover your natural, circadian rhythm. It's all together. So the circadian, well, right, because it's supporting melatonin. Yeah. At the same time. Right. And so actually you said something earlier that I found interesting and I think is a really huge point for the flex beam. And that is that you yourself were interested in maybe buying a panel, but they're so expensive. And one of the things that we have to say about flex beam is that it is in this world of red light and near infrared red light therapy, it is really affordable. Like it's a much less expensive option than a lot of the panels, not to mention the fact that it's portable. So, for me, like my panel's in a room and I have to remember that I have to go I have to go stand in front of the panel. Whereas with something like the flex beam, I could just be sitting at my desk applying the therapy to wherever needs to apply. But the price point of the flex beam, I think, is amazing. And I think, you guys deserve congratulations on bringing it in at such an affordable price, just because, and I see this in my group, like the Biohacking Superhuman Performance group on Facebook, so many people really need this therapy. And they're like, I can't afford any of this stuff. And they worry that if they go for something cheap, it's not going to be so good. So, so the price, we'll have a special coupon link in the show notes, but
But you've kept that price, even at the regular price, it's about $400. It's $399, right?
Right. The point is, first of all, thank you so much for recognizing this. When four of us got together, we sincerely wanted to give people a chance to experience this technology.
Mm-hmm.
We made the product. It could be easily sold at $1,200. Easily. I mean, because the quality and everything, it was a conscious decision. It was an absolutely conscious decision for us because we knew people need to know, people need to become friendly with technology and understand that it's absolutely safe with no side effect and they're giving you results. And it was my desire from day number one. So
that's amazing. Well, congratulations on that. Now, is there anyone who should not use a FlexBeam? Is there any situation you can think of where people need to be more cautious or maybe they shouldn't use it? Is there anything at all?
Yeah, it's a good question. So far, I see it to be completely safe. I've been, before we started with this, I did significant research for any negative cases in the whole photobiomodulation. Pretty sound. With particularly, there's few cautions you should be aware of. Obviously, cancer. Number one, because with cancer, we don't know what sort of effect it's going to be. We haven't done a study yet. And if you look through scientific literature, there's kind of 50-50. You say, some researchers say, oh, yeah, it helps with cancer. The others say, it may stimulate the growth of the cells. So in this case, my advice to you, if you have known cancer, do not put FlexBeam on that area. You can.
So can you use it on the thymus gland, for example? Like, let's say, because you have a lot of older people who, have, they may have basal cell carcinoma, and you see this mostly in men, right? So on the scalp and sometimes on the nose. And so for someone like that, would it be okay for them to use it on the chest area and just not use it on that?
Yeah, just general caution we give, please don't put at this side of the known cancer.
Okay.
Of course, sort of caution is the pregnant women.
Yeah.
Simply for ethical reasons, I don't think anybody going to do the study on pregnant women. But I would think it would be great. But,
but we don't know.
We don't know, and we don't want people to experiment with this at home. So I would say, again, do not place on a pregnant woman at all.
That makes total sense.
Yeah. All the rest, pretty much, of course, if people have terrible varicose with massive nodules there, and they may have embolism or thrombus in the past, you have to be cautious. I wouldn't put a FlexBeam there, just simply for whatever reason.
So you mean on varicose veins?
Yes. When there is a really...
when they're really bad.
Yeah. But otherwise, and okay, if you forgot and you put it once, it's still going to be okay. It's just regular use. You may do something. Yeah. So majority of these cases like this, in eventuality, it's just some sort of form of normal consideration and caution. Mm-hmm. And if somebody doesn't know a particular case, whether we should or we should not, maybe it's best that they contact me or contact our company. We will help to get advice on that.
Amazing. That's amazing.
Generally speaking, it's rather sound. I have not, and in fact, I kind of tested first to make sure there is no any burns or any blindness. We ask people to use goggles because the sun is very sun. Yeah, sun.
Kind of like the sun, only different.
FlexBeam on preset 3 it's near infrared, and we don't blink enough. That's why I said if you're really exposed to it with the please put the goggles on. But otherwise, it's okay.
But could people just keep their eyes closed? Would that be helpful? Or do you think that might not be enough? Or we just don't know?
It would be okay for people with closed eyes. But for preset 3, which is mostly near-infrared light, as I said, it's a very strong. If you feel that you kind of looking at it, then better to shield the eyes with the goggles.
Okay. So you're mentioning, so there's two more things I wanted to ask you about. So, well, actually three, but well, two for sure. So you keep mentioning presets. So there's different programs, right? So there's three different programs to the Flex Beam. Is that it? Preset 1, 2, and 3?
Where the one is produces red light, primarily red lights. And this is very superficial. The effect will be penetration depth at the skin level.
Okay.
So this is what you can use on skin, whatever, maybe abrasions, whatever. It's basically designed for skin. Number 2 is the most used preset because it has both red and infrared lights. It's a mixture. But also there is what we didn't talk about, a really cool program because we call it sunset sunrise program because it goes through different variety of frequencies in a very harmonized way. So this is all with frequency lights delivered in both. And the preset 3, it's primarily infrared lights. And that is I would use for when you target very deep-seated areas, like let's say piriformis muscle, know, problems there, like knee joints, hip joints, like something really deep in the body.
Right. And or even for the endocrine system, right? Preset 3.
Yes. Anywhere where you're
going deep.
Gauge how deep you target the light. Okay. Because it's going to deliver energy at that point for you.
So you just mentioned so is it preset 2 where it cycles through different frequencies?
Yeah.
So that would be almost your most, that's probably the one you would use the most.
I use all of them.
You do, of course you do.
Yes, I like preset 3 a lot because simply because I deal mostly with people in pain.
Yes.
And that kind of targets really deep, but also circulation disorders. I had one patient, very severe circulation, like Raynaud in the extreme.
Yeah.
I've got also in my clinic, I use very cool little camera to my iPhone, infrared camera. So I took picture before and after, and man, you could see how blood flowing afterwards after each 10 minutes. It's just literally hands become warm and blood is flowing. So for circulation problem, preset 3 is also good.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And so we talked about the gut earlier, and we talked about the GALT, the gut-associated lymphatic tissue, which is the part of the immune system that literally lives in the gut. But what about the microbiome? So what about all that whole community of tenants that we all have?
Yes, we have quite a zoo there.
Exactly. Is it de facto going to help microbiome to be healthier in some way or more balanced or?
Yeah, I think so. I absolutely believe in this because, there again, so much research on this subject, much research saying the connection between gut and brain.
Oh, yeah.
And also stimulation of the stomach. I recommend, you'll see again on all my recommended applications, there is an application on the stomach. It goes for people who suffer with depression, people who suffer not just digestive disorders, but also people who have headaches, people who have just want to get the energy. And it's actually very comforting. When you put it on your stomach, it's nice. Your gut loves it. And besides, one of the research paper I read, and they say there's lots of light receptors in the gut.
Yes.
So why not to give energy this way?
Well, and amazing because especially for those of us, again, who live in climates that are colder, our gut never sees the light, ever, right? We're always covered up. We just don't, and even people who honestly, my parents live in Florida, they live in a sunny climate and they don't go to the beach, which is so sad, right? Because it would be such a
and they put
place to recharge.
Lotion to hide from this sunshine because they worry about cancer and then
the sunscreen.
Like vitamin D, and then it's all together stimulates, all sorts of disorders.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. So melatonin, would you think that the red light somehow affects vitamin D production by the body?
that, no, not for that. You need UV lights.
So you
Yes.
need UV for that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But
Okay.
really, for the normal health, you need the whole spectrum.
Of course.
You
Of
know,
course. That's why getting
red and
outside is,
infrared.
yeah.
Yeah, red and infrared. It's a most energy comes from infrared, near infrared lights. Like 40% of the sun spectrum is that energy. So it's very safe waves.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Last question for you. In the panels, there's a lot of concern and a lot of talk about flicker, about the flicker of the lights. Your device is operated by a battery. And I think that the flicker is related to the conversion of the power from the wall to the light. And so if we slow-mo film our red light panel very often in some panels, and more, the manufacturers are trying to address this. But you'll see a very quick, very faint flickering. Does the FlexBeam have any kind of flicker? Have you looked at that at all? Or is that...
Yes, I think it does because, especially no preset number 2, you have the frequency there. But that flicker you don't really see because it's in your body.
On the body. Right.
Yeah. And so, and as I said to you, if you really at the point when you expose your eyes, I already told you need to wear goggles. So you escape by all means that.
Okay.
That's not going to be an issue.
Okay, cool. And then EMFs would not be an issue because of the battery as well, or?
Very, very, in fact, this is really cool because very, very low EMF you get from it. So
amazing.
It's not, we measured, recently, so the readings very low.
Fantastic. Well, Zulia, is there anything else you think people should know about the FlexBeam that we haven't covered today?
Oh man, it's so much to talk about. Yes. I just think if anybody has a question and something I haven't covered or something is maybe come up interesting to share, please welcome. We welcome any comments. We have a website and, you can contact any of us. We have a great support team. We'll be there to help you guys.
So what is the website? Why don't we give people the website here?
The website called theflexbeam.com.
The FlexBeam. Okay.
Yeah.
.com. Amazing. And that's how they would get in touch with you.
There is a support page. There is a support part of the website. If you get there will be contact us window and it goes straight to me if something interesting.
Well, and I actually just saw on the Indiegogo, which is still up. I mean, what's cool about this Indiegogo campaign, guys, is, I've had the experience a couple of times of buying things on Indiegogo that never materialized because, that's what Indiegogo is about. It's about helping to crowdfund new technology. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. But in this case, FlexBeam, it's in production. It's out. It's been delivered. It's ready to go. It's proven. So this is one of those Indiegogo campaigns you want to rush to. And I think that I have a promo code for you guys that's going to save you an additional chunk of money off of that $3.99, which is already crazy affordable. If you go to the Indiegogo campaign, there's a very interesting perk there where you can get a VIP, and I think there's still some left, the VIP deal, where not only do you get a FlexBeam, but you also get 2 consultations with Dr. Zulia Frost, which I think is a steal. Because I don't know what you charge by the hour, Dr. Zulia, but honestly, it's that means you've paid, let's say, said $400. That means $300 to spend 2 consults with you, which would be amazing.
Great, thank you so much. I wanted to give in this 2 hours ability to assess a person, design unique to this person, protocol to follow. And then after 1 month of use, we meet again and then, we reassess what's been happening, what's good, what's not, and readdress it. So almost like you get the little boat and help it to sail.
Oh my God, that's amazing. I love that. Take the little boat and just set it free and then check in on it once and then let it go. Yes. I love it. Okay. Well, thank you again so very much, Dr. Zulia Frost. This has been amazing. I really appreciate your time today.
Thank you so much. I enjoy it. I can come anytime you like me.
Perfect. Well, then we'll definitely have you back. And we'll definitely have you back when you have your version of the brain bucket that I'm sure will be more elegant.
Yes.
Than the brain bucket. And so once again, it's theflexbeam.com is the website for FlexBeam. And they also still have an Indiegogo campaign going. Do you know how long the Indiegogo site will be up for?
Up to 16th December.
Okay, so December 16th. And I'll be giving you guys a code in the show notes or in the outro of this podcast. I just don't have it right in front of me. I know that Brian sent it to me and I forgot to grab it for when we're recording. So there'll be a special discount code where you'll be able to save a little extra money on this incredible device, which is already pretty, it's way more affordable than anything else on the market. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this. And thank you again, Dr. Zulia Frost. And we will have you back whenever you're ready to share your next amazing adventure.
Thank you.
Thank you. How amazing is Dr. Frost? I so enjoyed interviewing her today. She actually told me after we were done that this was the first podcast she ever did. So I think she knocked it out of the park personally. So once again, just to remind you guys, today is November 26th, the Indiegogo campaign where you can get a FlexBeam for yourself for an additional $50 off this already pretty affordable price. So it's regularly $399 for the FlexBeam. You can get an extra $50 off for the next 21 days by using the link below this podcast. Don't wait too long. That being said, one other thing I wanted to emphasize here that I talked about in the show is that so often Indiegogo campaigns are for products that are not yet in production. So it's always a bit of a gamble. I mean, it's a good gamble because you're supporting great work. But in this case, the product is done. They're through the prototype. They're in production. They've got 500 units out there. So this baby's real and it's coming fast. Thanks for being here. If you got value out of the show, please leave us a 5-star review on iTunes or Spotify or Google, wherever you're listening to the show. And if you're looking to reach me, it's natnidham.com or on Facebook in the Biohacking Superhuman Performance group or on Instagram, just my name, Natalie Nidham. That's NATHALIENIDDAM. Thank you so much for being here, and we'll see you next time.